Psychic Matters with Ann Théato, the top-ranked spirituality podcast.
Today, I have the honour of speaking with Rhys Wynn Davies, an internationally acclaimed psychic and medium. Rhys is the author of How to Talk to the Dead in 10 Easy Steps, and he has developed several very highly regarded training and oracle card decks. He is the recipient of numerous awards, including the 2022 Carter Awards for his past, present, and potential oracle deck, and the 2020 Aspiring New Artist Award by the International Tarot Foundation. He's also been nominated for the prestigious 2023 Australian Psychic of the Year Award. And we are about to dive into his incredible journey and the wisdom he's gained through his extensive work and studies. Rhys Wynn Davies, welcome to Psychic Matters.
Thank you so much for having me, Anne. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, Rhys, it's great. Thank you. I know you're a very, very busy family man. You've got young children and a very, very busy career. So thank you for making time to speak to us. I thought we'd just begin by asking you, where did this all begin for you, Rhys? Your mediumship, your psychic ability. When did you first become aware of it?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I was aware personally when I was young, very, very young, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I kept it to myself. I had experiences where I even saw a loved one pass before it happened. And then a few days later, it took place. And I was only around 6 years old when that happened. And it made me doubt, what is this? How do I don't know what this is. Should I have said something, done something? I was very scared with it. When you're young and you don't know what it is, I mean, it would make sense. And then it kind of came back again in my 20s, where I had a visitation from loved ones. And same thing, what is this? I questioned it, I doubted it. What would people think of me? So I kind of was always putting it on the back burner. And it wasn't until I saw a medium who said that I have some ability within myself and I should do some meditation. So I started doing some meditation, and to keep the story short, after about a month or so, I was going to walk away from it all. I had an experience where a grandmother came to me in my mind. She told me about a school, the Arthur Findlay College, and if I didn't go there, I would regret it. And I saw her in my third eye. I could feel her presence, her energy, and I was very emotional by it. And I went, what's going on with this? I can see her, feel her in my mind. I can hear her voice. And she told me to go to this school. So I came out of that meditation. I'm very emotional, but I thought, I got to go to the computer, type in Arthur Findlay College. Is this a real place? And it's true. I couldn't believe it. I nearly fell off my chair. And so I went, my grandmother in spirits told me to go. I think I better be going. So I told people I was going to do horticulture, because I was doing horticulture and landscaping at the time. I didn't want people to know that I was going to a school that's for metaphysics and the afterlife and sciences of in mediumship and metaphysics, the Arthur Findlay College. And so I went there, and it all changed for me from then on. Not only did I want to become a medium, I met the love of my life at that school at the same time. So my grandmother's a matchmaker in heaven, but she was also guiding me to some spiritual truths, and that it led me to mediumship. So that's where it all began, really. And I did all I could over the years to come to bring myself into alignment with being able to do it for a living. And it took about 5 years to change professions. And so it led me to here. Yeah.
Wow. And how old were you when you decided to go to the Arthur Findlay College?
So I think I was around 35, somewhere around there.
Right. Okay.
From memory, yeah. So
I think that's inspiring for people, because a lot of people think you have to be a psychic from birth, or you have to be a medium, and you must always have been one. So for you to go and pursue this at the age of 35 after your visit from your grandmother, that's very interesting.
yeah, well, I loved it, actually, because in my teachings now, and even one of the reasons why I wrote a book about it, was that it's something that we can learn. We have to master it over a lifetime, but it's something that can be taught and learned. And it was for me. I think people's progression in that, and you might agree with me, Anne, that how you're nurtured, your environment around that supports you in this journey has a big factor in it too. In my day job, I worked in the forest for a long time, for about 20 years, in very sensitive and sometimes even life-threatening situations. And my senses were always on overload. And I think being grounded in nature and working with the dangerous elements in the Australian outback, I'll put it that way, um, I think it had also heightened some of my ability and senses. So when I got into learning this, my ability to sense and feel was quite strong from the beginning. But it's because my environment gave me a head start. And so people who have been raised in families who are mediums and people who are yogis, and there's already some disposition there that I think can help you progress quicker or faster than maybe some who don't or have that experience. I don't know how you feel about that,
Mm.
but you know, that's how it was for me anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting that your senses were already heightened from that sense of having to be aware of the dangers that were around you. And I'm
Right.
glad you clarified it was Australia and not good old UK. So it's not that many dangers in the forests in the UK.
Well, I think I impressed my partner at the Arthur Findlay College after class because she thought I was Steve Irwin because I was talking about how I got bitten by spiders and how a python bit me in the face and things like that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing that you went all the way from Australia. So, A, that's a long distance and huge cost, as well as the cost, of course, of your training.
yeah.
Um, and then you made repeat visits, did you not, to the Arthur Findlay
Yeah,
College?
yeah. So from Australia, I've gone 8 times independently from Australia to the Arthur Findlay College for doing courses and training there for my own development. And from being based in Europe at the moment, I've gone quite a few times as well. So yeah.
It must have been a big pull for you, Rhys. It's a big thing to change careers from what you were doing with forestry and working out in nature and horticulture to doing mediumship full time. Not everyone does that. Some people do it part time. What is it about mediumship that drew you so strongly to make it your 100% focus?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question. I think, I found life purpose. I think maybe after 20 years in the forest industry and in reforestation and working with governments, and I felt like I'd maybe achieved all that I could in that time. Not only me, but my staff. Over that 20-year period, we planted about 8.5 million trees in southeast Queensland in the Brisbane area, Gold Coast area. And, that in itself was a formidable achievement. I think personally quite rewarding. And when I got into mediumship, it made me feel like, oh, now I really feel like I'm making a difference to people's lives individually. And that was quite profound. It's very much a life-changing experience for myself. When I'm reading for people and I hear their stories and they tell me about their life and they share a little bit of themselves with me, I also got a lot of humble pie. And I'm sure you feel the same, where their lessons and experiences have taught me to look at my own life and value what I have and don't have and appreciate the things that are in my life. And so I don't see mediumship as one-sided. I don't think I'm more gifted or talented than someone else. I think every person you meet's got something that can give or share you or teach you about yourself or teach you about life. And in that exchange, it's just so rewarding. It made me want to be a better person. It made me want to be the best version of myself. And I got so much exhilaration helping people and inspiring people to be better versions of themselves too, and maybe not to fear death. Um, I got hooked into it. I'm so passionate about it. I don't even feel it's a job for me.
Yeah.
I'll do this till I die. There's no doubt about that. I know what I am. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's exhilarating to have that peace about it. With my business, you know, um, struggled with governments and decision making and very political. And sometimes we'd plant lots of trees, and a few years later they'd come and put roads through there and knock them down. And it was just to get votes and things like that. So I got a little bit frustrated with some of that, and the mediumship kind of took over.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. What do you think you got, Rhys, from the training that you did at the Arthur Findlay College? How did that help you progress with your mediumship?
Well, I think from there, it really taught me to have structure and that to be evidential. I think that's the greatest thing that it's taught me is evidence is really important in mediumship and giving that proof of life. And so being a scientist from the beginning, originally, I think that's what got me hooked in it as well. Going back to your previous question, I think the scientist naturally in me likes to give evidence to people, and I really love proving to them that their loved ones aren't gone. And I think the college really helped me establish that and give me that, to be honest. The method and the structure and how to go about that and how to deliver that and to talk confidently about someone who's died in front of people. As you know, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. But you've also worked with the Spiritualists National Union education program, and
Mm.
you've done many exams with them.
Yes.
Why did you do that as opposed to not doing that and just working as a medium outside of the SNU?
Yeah, well, I think it's just for credibility. I think the SNU hold a great standard. I think there's a lot of people in our community and the spiritual community that, how's to say, might not have all the great understanding or the process on how mediumship should be presented or delivered. One of the great things I learned along the way through the SNU is not every single thought has to be shared. um, and that we have to be sensitive about how we present things and that we're not counselors and diagnosing people and all that kind of thing. And so to me, when I saw mediumship being taught and demonstrated at the Arthur Findlay College, I went, wow, I want to be that person. I want to be able to do it right and do it well if I'm going to do it at all. It goes back to the Old Testament in Hebrew. It says any form of mediumship done poorly shouldn't be done at all. It's an abomination if you do. So what that's saying there is if you're going to do mediumship, do it well or don't do it at all. And that was for me. I've always been like that, even in my work. So I think the college and the training and the education system can give me the best grounded knowledge and support that I could offer to other people. If I'm going to train people and teach people in it, then I want to be able to carry that with me. And I think that the college provides that. So if I want to be the best medium and the best teacher, then I want to carry that with me from the teachings of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to really echo with your own ethic, doesn't it? Do it right
Right.
and do it well. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things I find so inspiring about you and your work, Rhys, is that you seem to have found time, and I don't know how you have found time to do all of these different things, as well as have your young family and do all your training and coaching and one to ones. You've also created these card decks, you have written books, and you are working on many, many other different projects and ideas to be the best that you can be. So I just want to break that down a little if I can. Your mediumship training cards, let's start there. Can you tell
Yeah.
people what they are and
Yeah.
why and how they came about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I first kind of started, and even in Australia and different countries, and there was many different teachers, and they said this is how it should be done, or you do it my way, not that other person's way. And there's always lots of confusion about that. And so I sat down with my partner and went, well, I really feel we should make a deck of cards together that we can help people be able to profile the character of a spiritual being. Um, and it's possible that we can do that. So one of the cool things that I feel is missing in mediumship today is post-life evidence, which is what's happened since the spirits died that they see for the recipient. Because I feel like when a contact is made, a recipient would want to probably know, or I know I would if a loved one came to acknowledge me, that they're in my life in some way, or they're aware of something that's going on in my life right now. And that would make me feel that they're not gone and that they're with me. And often I would watch other mediums doing their best, working, you know, I've got a lovely man here. I feel like this is your dad. He tells me this, he tells me that. And then the next thing they might go, well, he's just come here to say hello and he's gone now. So can I leave that with you? And it's like, we made all that effort to get to there. And I feel like this is where sometimes the mediumship stops. And so I really wanted with my partner to make these cards that kind of establish great physical evidence, because I feel like for a recipient in the audience, they need to know who you have. So that was the first thing. So we need physical evidence. That's great first. So someone in the audience really quickly would go, I know who we've got. And then the next thing would be passions, profession, or possession, something they've had, something they did, something about their character or their profession that they were. And that would also significantly help a recipient go, oh, that definitely relates to that person of mine in spirit. And then, of course, the third process in these cards is purpose for communication. So why is the spirit coming? Is it not just to come and tell you I love you? Because, you know, sometimes the evidence isn't just I'm here to tell you I love you. It's I'm sorry that, you know, you tried to come and visit me, but you couldn't see me because of COVID. You weren't allowed to come and travel overseas and see me. It's not your fault. You know, that in itself is evidence, but it's also a form of communication. And so the cards are kind of designed to kind of, with that process, with four great structures to bring this together. And at the end, it's that post-life evidence. Now that we've identified who it is and we've given you some character of who they are and something they may have left behind and all that connection and purpose of why they come, then we're into the post-life evidence. Because I feel sometimes a lot of people go even psychic with that and say, oh, is it true you're going on a cruise? Instead of saying, your dad in spirit reminds me or tells me that you're going on a cruise with mum, and this would have been a cruise that he would have gone on, but he died before you could go. But he's glad that you're still going with mum, to support her and spread his ashes on the ocean because that was his dream. You know, that kind of thing, I think, could be a game changer for a recipient. And so I feel like myself and my partner were meant to meet and be together because I feel like part of our journey is to make mediumship more evidential, and so we remove some skepticism around what we do. Because there's generally people who want to do good with mediumship and try to be evidential, but then there's others who haven't done the work and don't keep evolving to make that possible. And I feel like that can also undo, well, you know, what we're doing to try and help people. So I think at the end of the day, I want, you know, people to accept mediumship as a form of great communication, as a form of healing, and that it should be as evidential as possible. And these cards are all about that, in my opinion, anyway, and why we made them. We're very passionate about them, love them dearly.
I know of other mediums who have been working with them, with some of their students, saying how amazing they are and what great results people are getting after using them. Sometimes as a medium, I think we just stop the contact because we think we've done enough, and we're so glad that we're on dry land, as it were, and we've managed to give some evidence, and we just stop and we don't explore, we don't push it any further. So your cards are really encouraging for mediums to, because we should continually explore, shouldn't we? We shouldn't be happy that our mediumship is finished and we know how to do it.
Absolutely. And there's over 450 questions in this little pack that you can put thought-provoking questions to spirit and to perceive a response back. And I think that's a big thing for me too. In the beginning, when I first started, I just thought they'll just tell me what I need to say. I didn't realize that I had to work for them as well and ask them to be shown. And these cards are a great tool for that. I'm hoping in time, if you're using them, that, you know, it becomes automatic and you won't have to use them so much. But even I still have them myself, and I have them on my desk. And if I feel like I forget to ask a type of question, like, let's talk about their ancestry for a minute. You know, what's
Yeah.
their nationality? Or is it just for them, or was it something in the family? Um, or, you know, did they have a medical device or a unique tattoo? Or, you know, did they have adventures and holidays? And what was their hobby? You know, these little reminders are there.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to use them in their readings. And I think if you're transparent and let your clients know that these are a tool to help you be more evidential, then I can't see why they wouldn't be supportive, because you're not using them really to influence the conversation, but they're teaching you that you can ask the information to build on the conversation and add more to it. So I think, if anything, they're of value. But they're a great training tool, you know, for anyone wanting to learn it.
And these cards are available on your website, are they, Rhys?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, and you can also get them if you're at the college or at the bookstore at the Arthur Findlay College too, for those who actually get a chance to be there.
Brilliant. And you are, along with these cards, you are always pushing forward your own work as a medium. And I know that you are now working with spirit portraiture. Can you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I guess that's the scientist in me again. I did a lot of art when I was younger, so there's some predisposition there. I wouldn't say I was really good. I was more good at landscape drawing and things like that. But I thought, what another great way to add evidence is that wanting to add more proof for myself as the scientist, I thought, well, if I could draw someone, you know, then that would also be proof, would it not? You know, so I started doing that about 2.5 years ago. When I first started, they were like White Walkers and from Game of Thrones, and their heads and nothing was in, you know, proportion or anything like that. And part of me was really, you know, as you know, would be thinking as well, like when you start something new, you think, am I going to undo all the good I've done, and would just detract from the reading, and what if it's wrong, and all of those doubts. But I thought, well, I just got to keep going. And the only way to do well at mediumship is to keep practicing and to go for it. So when I first started, I didn't charge people for it. I just included it in my session. I said, do you mind if I try and do a drawing? And I just, you know, and then when it started to become better and better, and more accurate, then I thought, well, you know, I can give people the option. They can have a reading with drawings and without, if they choose to. And I've given that on my website. Now, the cool thing about drawings, right, is it can be someone who's directly died. It can be someone else they're with in spirit. It could be someone you don't know and you go away and find out later. I've had some people go back as far as fifth great granddad, for example, which is amazing.
Wow.
And then sometimes the drawings are actually of people who are living. And with the living, often conversations come up about them, and there's like the spirit draws the living person so that the recipient can go and pass on their love to that person on their behalf. It's very special.
So how does that work then, Rhys? If you're doing a reading for somebody, so if I'm doing a reading for a client, I see my spirit person with my clairvoyant vision, of course, and that would be what I would be drawing. But how can I draw something completely different to the person I'm working with in the spirit world?
I know. I've got an example here. I just had a reading before our podcast, and
Oh, cool.
I just really show you. So I drew this person. I was talking about her father and granddad, but I drew this man, and she said, "Well, that was my really dear friend, and he was my boss, but we became great, great friends over the years, like 20 plus years." And you know, she said that's exactly what he looks like. And it gave her so much comfort because he was an important man in her life. And this is why I'm talking at the same time about her dad and her grandfather, who had died. It just comes out, you know. So it blows my mind as well sometimes how that happens, and how the mechanics of that. I'm still scientifically curious to know all about that, you know.
Yeah, the mechanics of it. I'm still not clear though, Rhys. So if you're working, so you were working with him, her boss, or and then you
Yeah,
can draw him. But
yeah.
how do you?
So I was talking about her dad and her grandfather who died, but I'd drawn her colleague from work for 20 odd years. And she said, well, that's not my dad and that's not my granddad, but that's my good friend who's
Right.
just only died a year ago. And in fact, his birthday's tomorrow, which is,
Beautiful.
you know, and so there's no coincidence. And then as soon as I changed my focus to that and that person, or some stuff came in about him, it's a collaboration of some sort. It's a marvel, really. It could be psychic and it could be a mix of also the energy of the spirit world. There's no doubt that both are in play, in my opinion. But the very fact that she could relate to it and it helped her and gave her comfort, beautiful thing.
I think it's inspiring as well that you say, you started this 2 years ago, which is fairly recent. And at first, your drawings weren't amazing. As I think you said something like that. And I think for the rest of us as mediums, it gives us almost permission to give it a try ourselves. We should be
Yeah.
trying this.
Oh, and even with my students, I say if you can at least try and draw a ring or a possession or, part of a garden or something, if it was artistically presented and it was on a piece of paper in the time you had with your client, that would be great evidence too. There's some, great mediums who are even celebrity mediums and that who often do scrying where they get a pencil and they scribble to get concentration. But I think what a wonderful opportunity. While they've got the pencil, they could be actually drawing a name or writing the name, or they could be drawing a face or an object instead of, using that scrying for the connection. What more could you do with that? I think that, people should be open to explore that. If they can do that, they should try.
Yeah. Should try all sorts of different things, shouldn't we?
You don't know what you can do until you give it a go.
Well, you don't, do you? Exactly. And that's the whole point. We are the pioneers of 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
And those mediums who have passed the baton on to us are relying on us to also push forward those boundaries of human consciousness and explore this, because it's in its infancy, I believe, this
Oh,
mediumship.
yeah, I think so. We're only touching the tip of the iceberg, I think.
That's right. So you got these wonderful cards, the mediumship training cards, but you have other decks of cards that you've designed as well. What are they? Speak about those, Rhys, if you
Yeah.
would.
So we have spirit messages. I've actually got one here in front of me, spirit messages cards. So this is a great one where my partner and I, over the time as a medium, I looked at writing down all the different types of feelings of emotion and reasons why spirit have come through my sessions. We had about 300 plus. We were brainstorming on a 3-hour car drive once.
Right.
And we had to get this down to 60 out of 300 plus and made a deck of cards. So these cards just basically support, after a reading or a connection with spirit, I use these cards to, let's see if the cards support what's been said in our time together. And this is just, a supporting, advice. It's from love. There might be some connection to the image that's with the words that might give you extra comfort at this time. So I use them in my readings as well. But at the end, after I've made a connection, I don't use them in the reading to make a connection. I use them at the end. And the cards often have an image or a sentiment word, where, for example, here's one here. If I could do it again, I would do it with you. A nice little card like that. And these cards, often people go, "Oh, well, we love dancing. Dancing was our favorite thing, and we've got two dancers." And that means so much because we love dancing. And sometimes it's really, well, I don't think it's coincidence, but there's a lot of moments like that in the readings where the cards are really hitting home runs because the image or the words value add to the experience or the connection or the message from spirit. Then we have the past, present, potential cards. Now, I made these with my partner because we wanted to kind of shift some responsibility as a psychic. We're often pressured to talk about people's lives, personal lives and their personal problems and things like that. And so these cards were to kind of help a medium or a psychic medium with clients where you might want to get into some personal moments or problems that they're going through. And they're represented in like past, present, or potential. Even with the potential, you can change your mind if you want to, do it sooner or later, or change your mind. So it's kind of putting the responsibility back to the person, the recipient, than just solely on the medium. The cards are very powerful, particularly if the recipient can do it themselves or use the cards. But online readings, sometimes if someone wants to know, why does this keep occurring and why is this happening to me? Well, I'll pick a card from the past. Say, for example, someone felt like they had guilt around choices they made. Well, then they all of a sudden they choose this card. Your mistakes are now your lessons, and how does that make you feel? What are you going to do about it? Because there's only one path, and that's the path you're on. And so that they kind of support us as a working tool, but also empower the recipient to take some responsibility. So I wanted to have these cards in the public domain to help people make better decisions for themselves, and entrust their own feelings and their own intuition. And we're not solely responsible when people come to us for what we say and do for them. These cards are great for that. And we were so blessed to win an award for them. They're basically a 60 deck of cards times three, and they come in great little cotton bags. And you can do individual spread or 3-card spread or 9-card spread, and they work horizontal or vertical in their presentation with the information and the words on the cards. We really, really love them too. They've been very helpful for those who have taken the time to use them. And we've had great feedback from them, with people who've used them. And I use them all the time in clients who want to look at real personal issues for themselves and to try and help them make better decisions moving forward.
Yeah, fantastic. Great guidance cards, aren't they, for your
Yeah.
clients?
And, you can use them on your own anytime for any different reasons and use them individually or all together. They're wonderful for that.
Yeah, that's just superb that you've created these. Some of us, well, me, maybe others listening, often think, oh, I'll just create this thing and it just remains in your mind as an idea, but you don't actually put it into practice, get it done, and then get it out to market. So congratulations, Rhys. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
achievement. Really
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Which segues me nicely onto your book, actually, How to Talk to the Dead in 10 Easy Steps. Again, lots of us have ideas for books, but how did you manage to get pen to paper and get this out there?
Yeah, that was a huge journey. It was very personal. I had originally written it over a 2-year period, and then it kind of sat around for a while. And then I was actually overseas with my partner in Canada, and by chance we met up with a really dear friend of hers, and her father was a well-known author and writer, and we had 2 days at their house to stay. And I was blessed to be with someone who's, New York bestseller. And I just thought, there's no coincidence. I have to talk about the book, and
Yes.
and he basically, told me things I didn't want to hear, but in a nice way. He made me reinvent or look at the book in a different way. It was originally going to be like a memoir, about my own experiences in it, but I felt through his, communication and talking, he made me realize that I should create something that can help people first. There's lots of books out there about, people's mediums experiences and their details and their readings. And I think that's been done a lot. So I went, well, I have to create something. There's lots of books on mediumship and how to do it. It's not new, but I thought, well, how can I go about this? How about I write about how I learned how to become a medium and the process on that, and how I've come to where I am in my work with it and being professional with it, hopefully. And the book kind of follows a 10-step process, which is the steps that I took to develop and where I've ended up today with it. So it was a big thing putting it out there. I felt like it was a part of myself. It's a lot of hard work, and my partner spent hours editing it and rewriting it with me, and she did all the graphics and everything in there. So I shared this with her as well. But yeah, it's a wonderful book for anyone who's wanting to learn about how to do mediumship, but it's also a book for people who are going through the grieving process, and people who might feel like if it's possible, they can stay connected with their loved ones. So, because this is a book that can teach anyone how to do what we do if they put the 10 steps in process, and over time they can learn to master it. So it's a step-by-step process, but over time, doing these steps, you can learn and master how to do it and stay in contact with your own people. And if you choose to, in that process, you're actually teaching yourself to do it for other people too. So I've had a lot of people who've read this book and gone, I just wanted this for myself to be in contact with my mom or my dad or whatever. But now I feel so invigorated that I can do that for myself. I want to help do it for others. And it's led people to go into mediumship for a living as well. I've had lots of great feedback from it. It's been wonderful, really. More than we could ever hope for. It's just lovely.
Fantastic. Again, congratulations. And I think we have to acknowledge your beautiful partner in all of this, because you've mentioned her many times now that she's assisted you with all of these things. So she must also get acknowledged by us all, and say thank you to her too.
Yeah. My partner Breeza, she's honestly meant to have met her. She's my angel on earth, and we have different interests and spirituality too, which helps, but very supportive, and we just want to make a difference to people's lives. And we definitely found each other in the right place and the right time. And it's wonderful to leave something like this behind for people to enjoy.
Yeah, it truly is. And magical that you both met at the Arthur Findlay College.
Yeah.
So
I got
Rhys,
lucky. It took me 40 years to meet her.
but you met her, you did. So well done, you. And I was wondering if maybe on the back of that, you might have some small exercise that you could perhaps give to people if they were at home listening, or they are at home listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube. Is there something they can do to get in touch with their loved ones themselves without having to go through a medium?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. One great little exercise is just to allocate some time when you got no disturbance, no interruptions, and even if it's just for 20 minutes or so, but you can pick and choose any type of music, really. But I think with music, it's really important because music has so much different mood and light and shade to it. But experiment with some music that you might feel drawn to or makes you feel calm. Even stuff that might be nature-based is quite lovely. And when you've got that time and it's very clear that you've got no disturbance, then what I'd love you to do, if you're listening, is to basically, in your mind, because spirit is mind-to-mind communication, thought is superior to language and spirit. It's about inviting someone that you've loved and lost into the mind. And so with intention, I sit for you, Dad, or I sit for you, Mum. I ask for you to come now into my mind. And when I'm in this process, you should allow yourself to visualize that you're in a garden or you're going for a walk on the beach. It doesn't matter where, but you could say, I'm going to go for a walk on the beach, Dad, and I want you to come with me. And when I'm walking along the beach, I want you to just take me under one arm and walk with me, and take them along with you in that visualization aspect. Sometimes I've, had spirit come and sit with me on a bench in the garden, or I've seen a little footbridge and, come and meet me at the bridge and let's watch the water go by underneath us. And it's a little bit about how are you? Well, how are you there? Are you okay? Is there someone you're with? Is there something you want to share? And it's about allowing your clairs, what do I know, hear, see, smell, taste, feel, have impressions on these clairs of mine, Dad or Mum, and make me sense and feel you. and inspire me. Let me hear the voice in my mind. Gordon Higginson was, fabulous for saying that the spirit can influence our voice box to make the sound of their voice resonate in our mind. So, and I often hear voice in my head. So I love that distinction of that's where it's possible that can happen from that process. So let me hear your voice in my mind, so that I know that you're with me, guide me, give me one thing or something to help me move forward. And I feel like at some point, if you did that once a week and you kept practicing or trying that, you're going to have a moment where you're going to have a severe, beautiful, supreme moment of spiritual truth where you will feel like you've become one with your creator. And you will feel a sense of euphoricness and bliss. There's no words to describe it when you feel a loved one in spirit influence your own auric field and how it can make you feel. And then over time start to ask for signs, and so you know that they're with you. I think that's really important because a lot of people come to me. I don't know if you experience the same, man, where I see 1111 a lot, but I don't know who it is, or I keep seeing these white feathers, but I'm not sure who it is. And it's like, well, who do you want it to be? So I feel like that's really important for people to be clear about that as well. And over time, this should all come together for you. So a visualization aspect through a meditation with some nice music, and invite them to come and just be with them in an environment that was familiar to you when you were together, like the beach or the garden or the holiday caravan park, that kind of thing. Come sit next to me and let's be together again. And what does that feel like? And so you can allow yourself to feel that energy of spirit being around your auric field, and you'll know then when you feel that if it's them or not. And then invite them into the mind, because that's where it all begins. And over time, I have no doubt that, people can have that like I do with mine, and that's how I learned. And that's what's in the book.
It's a very powerful exercise, that as well. But very, very effective. But never really I don't know, I always sort of meet my people out on a beach or a forest or somewhere, but I never really thought to meet my mum and dad at the kitchen table, which is obviously where I should be meeting them because we know it so well. So I'm gonna,
yeah. And cup of tea, coffee, playing poker. Your bet next, Dad.
Yeah, fabulous, fabulous. So this leads us beautifully on to the teaching that you do, because you've just taught us this lovely exercise, and thank you for that, Rhys. Hopefully that will be very helpful for people listening and watching. What do you have coming up in terms of courses and workshops if people want to come and learn from you?
Yeah, well, I have private mentoring on my website. It is basically like the 10-week course. So I have a 10-week course online for groups on how to talk to the dead. That's the name of the course. And it's for 10 weeks. And there's a tutorial video that you get weekly. And then we have a live group class where we work through that chapter and the tutorial video. There's some homework that you do weekly as you progress. And it generally leads people from start to finish through being able to make a contact. And at the end, there's an extra week, an opportunity where the students can actually do a demonstration with people online if they want to try their new found skill in mediumship from, going through the course. That course is also done as a private mentorship. So you get the tutorial videos, the weekly homework, and the 10-week course. But at week 5 and 10, we have private session instead. So I'm offering that at the moment. I'm on a bit of a move at the moment, but when I'm settled, the group work will come back online again for people overseas who want to do the 10-week course. There's another 10-week course, which is what next now I can talk to the dead, which looks at helping students who want to do it for a living, being a bit more deeper with evidence, looking at even the artistic side a little bit, and forensics and a few other cool things like that, how to run a business in mediumship. So that's a second 10-week course. And then there's a third week 10-week course that's a bit more trance orientated, where we look at orientation, having channeling aspects, drawing, writing, where the spirit has a little bit more influence in those modalities. And that's a wonderful course as well. It's generally, if you do one, you can do, the second course and then the third program through that if you want to do with 10-week courses online.
Gosh, you've got a lot to offer there, Rhys. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great to have such a choice as a student. It's fantastic. Can people sign up to a mailing list?
Yes, so just go to my website. I have a subscribe pop-up down the bottom. You can also become a free member on my website and have access to a forum asking questions. There is a portal where you can add photos and spirit photography. I love all of that stuff. Anything about scientific and proof is all about me. I love that kind of thing. So if you've got great spirit photos and stuff like that, I love those kinds of things, or conversations about it. And then there's over 45 different meditation playlists that are available, and resources and things that you can download, and it's all available for free. And there's over 350 students there that are keen to practice. So if you do become a member, you can write to people and ask for a reading, or train with people and practice with people who are on that end of the website. It's a safe place for people who want to, connect with people if they can't do it with their own family members and whatnot. You can go online and connect with many people all around the world with that to practice with as well. It's free, that part.
Yeah, fantastic. So what is this wonderful website, Rhys?
So it's just me, rhyswyndavies.com.
So that's RHYS.
WYNNDAVIES.com.
Perfect. And I will, of course, put that link in the show notes for this episode. We better finish because I know that you've got a very busy afternoon. Just before we do finish, though, Rhys, tell us what else you might have coming up in the future in terms of cunning plans to create new card decks or write new books.
Oh, well, definitely a book. I'm trying to find the time at the moment to write one. So definitely a sequel to, How to Talk to the Dead. That's a big one. And I'm actually very excited to be working on some meditation music. On my website, I have a drop down with my spirit gallery where you can see some drawings that I've done in the past for people, but I also have a YouTube link there, but there's also a music one. And in the past, I love music a lot and wrote my own music. So there's some pop music there. But at some point, I'm going to have some meditation music as well, which I'm quite keen to explore the music aspect of my past again, but to use it to help people connect with spirit and that. So I'm going to explore that in the downtime.
Downtime, what is that, Rhys?
And I really love art. I like wax art as well. So or caustic artwork, So I did a landscape portrait with with poppies and stuff and fields of poppies, and got a lot of nice comments about it. So I'm interested in getting a bit more arty with that as well. So music and art combination seems to have come full circle for me with that. So we'll see where we go with it.
Oh gosh, it's so exciting, and your work is always cutting edge and exploring new fields and pushing your way forward to try to see what else may come from your mediumship. I think it's fabulous.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm in awe too of, that it comes together. And yeah, I think the big thing for anyone listening is you don't know what you can do until you give it a go. Don't have any regrets about it. Just follow your heart, and take what works and bin what doesn't work when you work with other people or teachers, and don't lose yourself in it. That's the best thing I can say to anyone. Don't lose yourself in all of it. Just do what feels good for you as well.
Perfect. Rhys Wynn Davies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Anne. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
You have been watching the Psychic Matters podcast with Ann Théato, the only podcast to push forward the boundaries of human consciousness to redefine the significance of living. Subscribe now so you don't miss future episodes.